Todd KENELEY, the voice of Championship Wrestling. Man, what's it feel like to hear people say that?
It's an honor, man, especially when we're going on, over a decade of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So I've been in it for the long haul. I've been able to see a lot of amazing moments and some great ones recently. I'm really happy where the product's going right now. It's an exciting time. Obviously, we've been down on the down low, but we're gearing up for good things. And, I'm happy to have the longevity and to have met and worked with so many great people over the years.
Yeah, and you have one of the best jobs in all of sports. That doesn't mean it's easy. I know the prep work and everything that goes behind it, but literally, you've got the best seat in the house at all these great events, and now all of a sudden, just like myself and many people listening, all of a sudden it just stopped. So how are you adapting during this downtime?
Just, trying to stay active. You guys have been doing a great job by cutting together your own unique version of the show each week and kind of cherry picking some great matches from the year of Championship Wrestling CW30. So I've been jumping in on that live chat Saturday mornings and giving my 2 cents and kind of my thought process on a few things and then we shot some on camera for our Championship Wrestling from Hollywood version of the show that airs out here on KDOC and on Fight. So I've done some studio stuff, and we're doing a lot of really cool things coming up with some new segments and some podcast type stuff in our own right. And so I've been kind of instrumental in that. I had the daunting task of trying to write kind of the history of the United Wrestling Network, which you can see now on UnitedWrestlingTV.com under the About section. And boy, it was hard to know what to include, what not to include, but I did my best to give the Cliff's Notes version.
I bet. We're talking to Todd KENELEY. Be sure to follow him on social media. He's on Twitter @Todd KENELEY. So you broadcast for Championship Wrestling, and that's the Hollywood version, and we hear you here in Memphis as well. You also broadcast for mixed martial arts, and I'm sure that's a fun conversation when you meet somebody and they say, "So, what do you do for a living?" Well,
we'll try this on for size.
Yeah, and then it's like, no way, really?
That's always the case. Yeah, and it's I've been able to do some really cool things. The mixed martial arts stuff just snowballed from wrestling. I back in the day, I started with UPW, which was Rick Bassman's promotion out of Southern California. So I was there, man. I saw John Cena when he was the prototype and came walking out like a robot. I saw Samoa Joe when he came out with a Hawaiian flower print shirt on. I was there for a lot of those guys early days. Kazarian and Daniels, they were all there. And then Rick ended up branching out and he formed Valor Fighting. And so then I had to be a wrestling commentator that knew enough about MMA to get by.
Right.
And it led to some great opportunities. I ended up working for Elite XC when it was on CBS, and now I'm working for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, which airs on Fox Sports Networks out here regionally. And it's been cool. I definitely bring a lot of the flair and the storytelling, the pro wrestling side, to my MMA commentary, and I think vice versa. When I see a match that's really technical, now I can call it in that MMA style as well when I'm calling pro wrestling. So I think it's helped me to kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you talked about the YouTube live chat. That's on YouTube @CW30 Wrestling. And one of my favorite parts, other than the fans just going nuts when something surprising happens, which is like every episode, but it's your call. And you and Dan Joseph together were fantastic. The way that you tell a story and the way that you have instant, it's almost like the Jim Ross syndrome, to where anytime a big moment happened, he had something ready to say. And you do too. Is that something you prep? Like, a show might end like this, so you're going to have something already ready? Or is that something you just do off the cuff? Because it's fantastic, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I got to be honest, it really is off the cuff. I mean, I will definitely do my prep work in terms of talent background and training and, how they want their character put over and signature stuff that they're going to go for, finishers, all that stuff. Of course, you're going to take notes. but everything else is really a feeling process. And I really feel that the best calls are organic calls. And I don't sit there and jot down phrases and stuff. I mean, I call it as I see it, and it's just what comes out. And a lot of times I know it, I'm like not trying to hoist my own sail, but it's like I get a kick out of going back and watching stuff, because I'll hear stuff. Oh man, I don't remember saying that, or I don't know where that came from, because when you're calling it, your mind is just going a million miles an hour. And you mentioned it. Like I don't think people realize how tough it is after you've called, say a 2 to 3 hour TV taping. It's exhausting because your brain is working overtime, and I'm a true fan, born and raised. I've been a wrestling fan ever since I can remember. So I still enjoy the action. It's not canned at all, man. When you hear enthusiasm, it's legit, because I'm first and foremost a wrestling fan.
Yeah. Talking to TODD KENELEY, man, I'll never forget myself and my Maria making our debut out in Hollywood, and just the way that you, and let's be honest, there are people there's 132 markets across the United States where that show airs. And there were a lot of people that had no idea who we were. But by the time we entered and exited the ring, which might have been 10 minutes, gosh, you put us over like $1 million. So I appreciate that. And just talking about like moments like that, like entering the red carpet rumble, you got to have a favorite match. Or if it's not a favorite match, you got to have like a favorite moment. What's the favorite moment or match that you've been able to call in your career?
In terms of United and in Hollywood, I'd say it was probably the first NWA World's Heavyweight title match with Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana, in which Cabana finally won the title for the first time.
Nice.
And it was just it was that electric atmosphere at the Showcase Theater where we filmed at the time, and it just to call an NWA World's Heavyweight title change for the first time in my broadcasting career, that felt special, so that was great. Outside of United, I got to call Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in Melbourne, Australia.
Woo!
Yes, Nature Boy. And I did backstage stand-up interviews with Hulk and Flair, and so me trying to keep a straight face and not crack with that. And Hulk, at the end, he was playing the hits. God created the heavens, He created the earth. Seventh day, the 24-inch python's brother, and this is where the power lies. I mean, he was rattling them all off. And at the end, he's like, so you know what, little dude, as he like pokes me in the chest, he goes, there's only one thing left to say, what you're gonna do, Ric Flair, and it's like, I can't believe I'm standing here right now.
That basically
the Mean Gene role. And then did a backstage interview with Flair, and at the end he's wooing up a storm and looks me right between the eyes and just gives me a huge woo, and I he just like sell it, pop back, and it was crazy. And they went out and called it, and Eric Bishoff was on color for that match. So that was crazy. But I think one thing that I'm really proud of was first match on Impact, because this was an interesting scenario, and it's like you just never know what's going to happen. I was under the impression I had talked to Eric Bishoff. This was after Australia and everything like that, and got flown out. I thought I was going out to audition. I get there that morning, go to a production meeting, and Eric was like, hey everybody, this is Todd. He's going to call the first hour with JB. So I find out on the spot that I'm calling this live TV on Impact, calling it the first hour with Jeremy Borash. We had never met. We had never worked together. And, we just kind of sat throughout the afternoon, put some matches on a laptop, just kind of practiced our chemistry a little bit, and then went out there and flew without a net, baptism by fire, and called the first half of Impact. And, it went really well, and I felt really good about it, and obviously stayed on after that. Because, years prior, I had opportunities in auditions at WWE, and you get out there in that studio and that bright light goes on, and, as good as I feel that I am at this, it's everything you've ever hoped for right in front of your eyes, your destiny. Which road are you going to take? And man, I like froze for the on cameras. I was shaky, you know, I was deer in the headlights. And I've called so many shows. I've never had that happen. But for some reason at WWE, I just froze up. And they flew me out, you know, several times, just never pulled the trigger for whatever reason. So when the time came for that live debut on Impact and everything, you know, went smooth, that was a big monkey off my back. Like, okay, if nerves were ever going to be a problem, it would be getting thrown on live TV. And
Right.
you know, passed that test with flying colors. That definitely made me feel better about myself.
Oh man, Todd, I could literally talk professional wrestling with you all day and all night. I promise you. But I want to wrap up real quick. Man, you just told stories about promos with Hogan and Flair, but you were a druid for the Undertaker. You've played defensive tackle at USC. I mean, like, what have you not done, Todd?
I've lived a life, Dustin 5-star.
Yes, sir.
And I've had fun every second of it. And I'm, you know, and after all my adventures, you know, United Wrestling Network opened the door to come back home, and I've been home ever since. And I'm just so happy where everything's going. You and your lovely Maria have been just such a shot in the arm to everything that we do, and have taken us to a whole nother level. It's fun again and exciting, and I just love the family and the team dynamic we have going right now.
Oh, me too, man. I really appreciate that. But for real, how did the Undertaker thing come about? Real quick. Tell me that story.
You know, it was when I was in talks with them and stuff, so I got a shot as an extra. So here's the abridged version, because it's quite a story.
I bet.
We're sitting there in our cloaks. We're getting ready. This was Undertaker, Randy Orton, okay, WrestleMania 21. One of the other druids and I have to run and go to the restroom really quick. He's a little bit ahead of me. We have to go through catering to get there. We're wearing our cloaks, feel like, you know, a couple of dummies. I get to the bathroom. I'm in a hurry to get back. I rip open the door, and it gets about halfway, and I just hear this thud and feel this thud. I peek around the corner, and there's Batista in the mirror spraying himself down, getting ready. He gives me the dirtiest look you've ever seen, because I just hit him. Druid hit him with the door. He was wrestling Triple H for the World Heavyweight title that night. Huge match. And we get back to, you know, kind of our spot to get ready to go out. And the guy that was ahead of me, Funky Billy Kim, Southern California wrestler, goes, "Oh man, I feel so bad. I hit Batista with the door," and then it just hit me. I was the second druid in the span of 30 seconds to slam Batista with the door.
Oh no!
Yeah. So no wonder he looked pissed. You know, he wasn't Drax. He wasn't Drax yet, but he looked like he wanted to destroy our ass.
Very good. Thank you for that, Todd Keneley. You the man. Anything you want to send out to Memphis?
We love the fan base out there. You know, I loved last week the Bateman Maurice Isaacs. When it was censored, it was black and white. It felt like an old school match. And then I saw a pile driver in there. Memphis Wrestling has such a legacy, and we're just so happy to bring a little bit of our West Coast wrestling out to you, and just so happy that the Memphis audience, which is a true professional wrestling audience, has embraced our product, and you can't ask for a better compliment than that.
Right. You got to end it with the catchphrase. Give me the catchphrase, Todd.
It's only a matter of time. I know we've been sitting on ready, but very soon it'll once again be time to fight on.